Hello and welcome back to the channel, Seraphim Spiritual Healing. Today we're going to discuss banishing and rejecting thoughts. Okay, this is a very, very important practice, and this is one of the earliest practices that I started using in my spiritual work early on, about 10 years ago. This is something one of my magician teachers taught me. Banishing and rejecting thoughts is very, very important. You have to guard the gates of your mind, because anything that penetrates your mind can contaminate your mind and can basically feel like thoughts are not your own. You can feel like, something is trying to give you bad advice. It seems like, your conscience is against you, or whatever the case may be. So anything that you do not like mentally, anything that comes into your mind that you don't accept, you don't want to think, any kind of negative thoughts, any kind of thoughts that are not your own, what I want you to do is I want you to say to yourself, okay, I don't like the way this sounds. I'm going to banish and reject this thought. This is not my thoughts. These are not how I feel. This is not how I want to feel. So you banish and reject these thoughts. I have kept this practice solid for over 10 years and have never stopped once. And I feel that this practice is highly beneficial. Okay, your mind is a very susceptible place. If you don't take control of your mind, others will for you. Okay, it's almost like kind of programming too, in some ways. People are going to want to try to program you. Thoughts are going to want to try to program you. External forces will try to program you. And by banishing and rejecting thoughts, you can deny that programming and only have your own programming. And that's the goal here. You want to have your own programming. That way you're not running off of anybody else's. You're not running off of anybody's thoughts. You're not running off of any kind of thoughts from the universe that are not aligned with you. Okay, and this is going to be very, very important until you hit alignment. Now, we're going to talk a lot about alignment later. Okay, we're going to talk a lot about alignment later. And I actually just hit, even though I've been a spiritual practitioner for over 10 years, I've been practicing my spiritual ways, I have not hit alignment until last year. Okay, and so there's lots for us to talk about, but with alignment, when I hit alignment, all my thoughts became my own. I had no more intrusive thoughts. I had all of my thoughts were more my own. Nothing was interfering with my mind thought process. Nothing was penetrating my mind to make me think negatively about myself, make me think, I'm not worthy, making me think that I didn't have any worth. There's all kind of these negative thoughts that creep in. And part of it is coming from your ego. The ego is, in some ways, it's an enemy, but in other ways, it's beneficial. The ego is a survival tool. However, it is not a enlightenment tool, okay, if that makes sense. So I want you to banish and reject thoughts that you do not agree with, that make you feel uncomfortable, that are not a part of your enlightening spiritual path that is raising you up. If it does not raise you up, banish and reject it. Okay? Energy is very, very important. We want to try to stay in an upward spiral and a high frequency. Okay? And banishing and rejecting thoughts will help you. This is very important. So I really want you guys to really think about how powerful this practice is. And also, once you understand the Hermetic law of the all and mentalism, then you will understand that, guarding your mind is probably one of the most important things you're ever going to do. Okay? So banishing and rejecting thoughts, it could be anything. It could be even something as simple as, my coworker or my boss is talking about, having us come in on Saturday. I really hope he doesn't, have us coming in Saturday. You know what? I'm just going to banish and reject the thought of coming in on Saturday. Even something as little as that can help. Okay? Banish and reject things that you don't like. Now, granted, don't get me wrong. If it ends up turning out to still come through and manifest in your life, it is what it is. It could be a lesson. But for the most part, when you practice and practice this more and more and more, it will benefit you. You'll get stronger at it, and you will see the benefits of this practice. This is probably one of the best practices I've picked up from my magician teacher. And I've noticed that a lot of people that follow this magician teacher, they would all say what I'm saying. This is a very, very powerful practice. And almost everybody that has learned from this magician teacher about this practice, everybody still uses it today. Almost everybody that I've talked to, when I still go on his channel and I read the comments, people still talk about it to this day, and this is over 10 years ago. Okay, so banishing and rejecting thoughts, very, very important in my opinion. It's something you want to keep in your practice and get good at. It is very much going to help you along this entire spiritual path. Again, over 10 years for me, I've been employing this practice the whole time, and I've never stopped, and I'm still doing it. So I hope this helps. Keep your thoughts your own. Keep it positive. Always keep it positive. Anything negative that you're thinking that you don't like, banish it and reject it. Get it out of your mind. And what's interesting too is when you banish and reject, most of the time these thoughts do not come back. Once you say it, it's done. Okay? We speak things into existence. We speak things, we give things power. We can also remove that power as well. So again, banishing, rejecting thoughts, very, very important. So until I see you next time, that's it for this lesson. Until I see you next time, take care, and I'll see you.